Hey everybody, welcome to Mindfulness and Exposure Therapy with Mark Ellert. This is something I'm going to share with you today because mindfulness and exposure therapy are the two tools that have helped me the most in my journey to recovery for the last 18 years. Some of you may know a little bit about my history. I struggled with my mental illness my entire life. And at the age of 19, on September 12th, 2004, I survived an attempted suicide that resulted in a traumatic brain injury with permanent brain damage, as well as total loss of vision for the rest of my life. So, on top of my mental illness now with all of my trauma, it was difficult for me to recover and has been, but I've been very, very successful with my road to recovery. 18 years now, and I've been living on my own now for 8 years. Very high functioning and independent, really great quality of life. That's why I want to share this with you. Mindfulness and exposure therapy have helped my quality of life so much. When I first lost my vision, I had a really hard time sitting with myself in the moment. I had a hard time being content and okay with myself with the changes I was going through. I mean, with my brain damage, it was taking me longer to process information, and going from 20/20 vision to total blindness, I felt like I was missing something. Just sitting with myself, I feel like I'm not getting all of the information I normally would. I could normally just look around the apartment and stuff. Felt like I wasn't getting all of my information. I felt like something was missing. So it didn't feel right sitting with myself. I also had a hard time trusting myself. After my mental illness and an attempted suicide, going blind and having brain damage, I had a hard time trusting myself. And again, I had a hard time sitting with it. It made me very uncomfortable. So that's why 24/7, what I would always be doing is I felt the need to have my mind just basically running all the time. I always had to be talking to myself and narrating to myself in my head. I had 24/7 had a monologue going through my head. Whether it's what I'm doing, what I did earlier, what I'm going to do, I just felt the need to constantly be narrating to myself to give myself that sense of control, like I get it and like I trust myself. And a big thing was to ignore what I was trying to deal with. It was an avoidance tactic. I didn't want to sit with myself and be thinking about it because it didn't feel right to me. I wanted to go somewhere else. I was avoiding it. Basically, that's why when I'm eating breakfast, I'm thinking about what I got to do. I got to send an email to this person, this person, this person. I'm gonna take a shower around this time. Oh yeah, I got to respond to that Yahoo. When I'm doing something, I'm always thinking about what I'm doing next. I always had to have like a plan of action, step-by-step plan to give me that sense of comfort and like I get it and I know what I'm doing. I got this. But again, the more I accepted it, the more I realized it was avoidance tactic. It was avoiding my reality and trying not to sit with myself and deal with it because I just didn't want to. But the more I did that, the more I had to. The more it was a comfort and a need, the more I was dependent on it, narrating myself and talking to myself to avoid it. Because then when I would come back to it, I was even more not okay with it. It would feel even more wrong when I would come back to my reality and try to sit with myself. So I was even more dependent on my narration and my monologues and all that. But everybody, one thing that helped me the most, actually, a lot of you know I'm a musician. Music is a giant passion of mine. It's who I am. It's deeper than blood, something that runs through my veins. There's a lot of times, actually, I started becoming aware of it at the end of the day when I'm winding down, just listening to some tunes, doing my thing. So a lot of times when all of a sudden out of nowhere, I would be, in my head thinking about stuff, doing things, but I would come back to reality. I would come back to the moment and really start to actually listen and take in the music. The second I did, I would realize how passionate I was about music, how much it meant to me. I realized how much I was avoiding and going somewhere else when there's something I loved right in front of me. I'd become hysterical. I would literally start hysterically crying and falling apart, realizing how much I was just running away from something and avoiding something when I had something in front of me I loved. I realized how much I was ignoring the music and ignoring what I loved when I can appreciate and have this moment for myself. I deserve it. It wasn't fair for me to be sacrificing myself and giving up on the things that I love because I felt like I couldn't deal with it. I deserve to still have those things I love and I can still love them and hold them close to me. So that's why I started becoming aware of it. I realized I spent way too much time in my head and I gotta listen to the music, baby. Instead of being in my head, just narrating, I just gotta nod your head, just nod your head. Just be cool and content with the moment. I realized I don't have to go somewhere else all the time. I've been doing this for 18 years now. I have a good plan. I've learned how to trust myself and love myself. I have a good sense of control, and I've figured out life again. Been living on my own for 8 years. I don't have to be narrating to myself 24/7. When I need it, when my anxiety is high, when I feel disconnected, when I'm wait, I'm trying to. Also, so with my brain damage, I have memory loss. So sometimes when I need it, I'm allowed to have my list. I'm allowed to make sure I have a grip on reality and I'm making sense out of things. But I've learned to trust myself that I don't need to do that 24/7. I'm allowed to enjoy my breakfast. Like, man, this is a damn good omelet. When I'm enjoying a movie with my lady, I can enjoy the flick. When I'm listening to tunes, I can enjoy it. I don't have to sacrifice myself and be somewhere else and narrating to myself to distract and deprive myself of life. Because then again, I need it more and more. Everyone's small, piece by piece. I've been able to expose myself. Woo! No, but for real, a little exposure therapy, everybody. That's what it is. Those those avoidance tactics is because I wasn't exposing myself to the reality. The more I did my avoidance, the less I could handle my reality. I had to slowly, piece by piece, expose myself to my reality so I could be content with it. I had to do it a little bit, day by day, time by time. But eventually, when I was exposing myself to my reality, I realized how much I can handle it. I became more and more content with it. Everybody, just a little bit, piece by piece, exposure therapy has helped me. When I'm exposing myself to my reality, when I've accepted this is who I am and where I'm at with life, I can't change it. And the more I avoid it, the more I'm not going to be able to handle it. I've exposed myself, everyone. I can do this. This is my reality, and I can learn to be mindful and appreciate those moments. That's why you can do it too, everyone. If it just takes a little time, just 5 minutes a day to expose yourself and do the things you need to be okay with it, do that. Use your tools when you need them, but come to grips and expose yourself to your reality when you need to so you can be able to manage it for long term, everyone. Recovery is lifelong. For the rest of my life, I'm going to have to accept the fact that my trauma happened and I'm still recovering it to this day. It'll take my life. I have triggers and things that come up here and there, but I've learned to have a quality of life. I've been able to expose myself to it and be able to handle my triggers and manage myself and my trauma, everyone. If I can do it, you can do it, everyone. That's why I want you to know, be mindful, do some exposure therapy, keep it sexy, make good choices. I'll catch you on the flip side, everybody. Until next time.